ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we're on our first field trip of 2020.
And considering 2020, we need a fun field trip.
We're going to the zoo. We're going to show you some tips on how you can homeschool at your local zoo. And if you don't have a local zoo, how you can use this book to bring the zoo to you. Before we enter the zoo, we should address the elephant in the room. A lot of people don't like zoos because they feel it encourages the unnatural containment of animals and bad behavior of animals. And while we don't disagree with that line of thinking, we make sure that every zoo exhibit that we go to or aquarium is AZA certified.
What's the AZA?
The AZA is the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. It is a non-profit dedicated to the advancement of zoos and aquariums in the areas of conservation, education, science, and recreation. Being AZA certified means that the facility meets the highest standards in animal care and welfare. Fun fact, only 10% of the over 2,800 zoos and aquariums in the United States that are accredited by the U.S. Wildlife Association meet AZA standards.
So if you're going to an AZA zoo, you know it's all about conservation.
There's a lot of zoos out there that have questionable motives.
Let's go see some animals.
Where else can you learn about the pangolin?
Fun fact, did you know that we humans have 7 cervical vertebrate bones in our neck? And the giraffe, whose neck is way bigger than ours, has the same number of bones?
Those bones must be huge.
So Future John here doing the editing. And even though we're a new YouTube channel, you would think after doing over 20 videos, I would know when the audio on the camera is recording or not. Apparently, that is not the case. Turns out the first few recording sessions of this week's video at the zoo were completely useless because the audio wasn't recording. And that was a total bummer because it was during those sessions that I explained how we homeschooled at the zoo, even in non-science ways. For example, I have my daughter practice her reading by reading the science facts off the placards. My son can practice using maps by reading the maps, although with coronavirus they didn't have the paper maps, so that made it a little bit more challenging. Thanks, coronavirus. We also used this segment to continue on our series on taxonomy, because pretty much everything you find at the zoo animal-wise is going to be in the phylum Chordata, and that's what we were doing.
Red panda? Backbone.
Anyway, we'll be at the aquarium in a few weeks and we'll resume that series then. Okay, back to the regular footage that turned out to be somewhat useful. The main way we study at the zoo is by observing some of our favorite animals. We then sit down and read the book to learn more about them. Then I'll have my daughter choose one animal, draw it in its natural habitat in her notebook, and write down some facts that we didn't know previously. This time she chose the Amur leopard, which turns out to be the most endangered of all the big cats. Another thing they love at the zoo are the interactive displays. But the thing they love the most is comparing the animals to their favorite animated movie. For example, this is not technically a red panda. It's Master Shifu from the Kung Fu Panda series. The other thing we recommend is follow your local zoo or aquarium on Facebook, because oftentimes they advertise live streams of science shows like releasing animals back into the wild or the birth of certain animals. A few months ago here, the zoo announced the birth of a baby giraffe, and a few months before that, our local aquarium live streamed the release of turtles back into the wild. Those live stream events that they advertise are super easy and super free. And as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a zoo nearby, I still recommend the Smithsonian Animal Book. It's a great read for their age level. Great pictures, great information, great facts. You can have them sit down and pick one animal a week to learn about it. They can draw the animal in their science book, write down facts. That's a simple lesson right there. The book itself is about $15. It's several hundred pages, jam-packed full of animal knowledge, which they love learning about. We'll leave a link in the description below if it's something you're interested in. So that's our trip to the zoo. We spent 2 hours here, saw a lot of animals. Some animals we didn't get to see because they're doing a lot of construction right now because of the added free time because of coronavirus. So some of the animals that are bothered by the construction, for example, the alligators were moved away, some of the orangutans and some of the monkeys had been moved away. But in 2 hours, we observed a lot of animals. learned a lot of animal facts. We practiced reading, practiced looking at maps, practiced taxonomy. You can do so many things at your local zoo, at your local aquarium. Follow your local zoo on Facebook for free activities. We are going to our local aquarium in the next few weeks. We'll have a video on how to homeschool at your local aquarium pretty soon.
Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.